Hey, welcome to Kai Food, cooking for the adventurous spirit. Now get this, it's the opening day of lobster season, and we're gonna go lobster diving. We're gonna catch our own lobsters today, and we're gonna tell you everything it takes to get into lobster diving. But first, I wanna talk to you a little bit about all the different types of lobster. Down here, we got 4 different types of lobster. The first type is a Maine lobster. Now this is the one that you typically see with the nice claws on it. This is normally caught up in the Northeast, around Boston, Maine, New Hampshire, places like that. This meat tends to be a little sweeter. This is actually really, in my opinion, the best lobster you can get. Over here, we have the Australian rock lobster tail. Now the Australian rock lobster, you could tell that it's Australian rock lobster because of the nice white dots it has going down the side of the tail. Now it's in the same family as the California spiny lobster we have right here, but the spiny lobster doesn't have the white dots going down the side of the tail. So that's how you could tell the difference between the rock lobster and the spiny lobster. And this is a slipper lobster. Now the slipper lobster is a little more tender, doesn't have quite the flavor, but you'll see it in a lot of stews and soups and things like that when you go up to restaurants. Why? Well, it's the least expensive. Now before we do any cooking, we're heading up to Lobster Mania at Ocean Enterprises. They're one of the best local dive shops here in San Diego, and they're having their annual Lobster Mania opening day competition where people from all over bring in the biggest lobsters from Southern California. Now check out these bugs. Now the big bugs, they're not really good eating, but the small ones, man, are they tasty, and we're gonna cook them up. The best ones are about 1.5 pounds to 2 pounds. While I'm getting ready to cook, check out this awesome scuba diving adventure we went on today with Captain Ryan from Waterhorse Dive Charters. We're down here in Mission Bay, California, and we're gonna go lobster diving. But before that, we're gonna be meeting with Trish Kiefer from Ocean Enterprises, and she's gonna tell us everything it takes to get into scuba diving. So hey Trish, what's it take to get started into scuba diving?
Well, Kai, it's really easy. You actually just need to get certified first, which takes as little as 2 weekends in a row. And then what you need to do to get certified is you have to have your own gear. The equipment that you're going to need for your certification is your mask, fins, snorkel, booties, and gloves. And that's considered your personal snorkeling gear. Then after that, you can rent the rest of your gear, which includes your BC, your regulator, your wetsuit, and your tank.
Now what's a BC?
A BC is the vest that you would wear that keeps you inflated when you're on the surface, and you just deflate it to go down underwater.
When did you start diving?
I started diving when I was 18. I was actually studying marine biology at UCSD, and so it was a natural flow for me to get my scuba diving certification.
So where are some of the places you've gone diving?
Well, of course, being from San Diego, I've gone right out here, right off the coast of La Jolla, which is beautiful. We have an incredible canyon and preserve, wonderful things to see here. I've also been diving down in the Philippines, where I was able to do some research on whale sharks and blacktip reef sharks.
So everybody always asks me about sharks. Do we need to be nervous?
Well, the thing about sharks is we're really not a target of theirs, so there's nothing to worry about as scuba divers.
Now I got to tell you, Trish, one of the things I love about sharks is they are so cool to watch underwater. Where do you want to go next?
Well, the next place I'd really love to go is Palau, and then Belize would be right after that.
Hey, thanks for telling us what it takes to get into diving, Trish. Now check this out. We're getting ready to get wet. Most people like to go lobster diving at night. Lobsters will come out of their hiding spots to feed. Divers blind them with their light and quickly grab them. During the day, lobsters typically like to hide under rocks or ledges. The trick is to try and grab them before they get away. They're fast little buggers, so most of the time it's utter failure. When you do finally get one, the head must be at least 3 1/4 inches from the center of the eyes to the back of the head. Now, while you were checking out that awesome scuba adventure, we went ahead and read these 2 lobsters their last rites, and now it's time to take them out of their misery and into my belly. So here's what we're going to do. Now, the normal way that people typically will kill a lobster is by putting it in boiling water or by tearing the tail off it. 2 problems with that. First one is when you put it in boiling water, the water is too hot and it actually overcooks the lobster before it gets cooked all the way through. That's why it comes out a little tough. By tearing the tail off it, what ends up happening is you release all these endorphins that are inside the lobster, and that endorphins will make the meat a little bitter. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead, and it looks really unpleasant, but I'm telling you it's the way to do it. We're going to go ahead and we're going to put our knife right through the cavity of the head. All right? Now, a good thing to do is to cover it up with a little towel. Tell it you love it. Hello, my little lobster, I love you. And then when it's least expecting it, bam! Right through the head, just like that. Lobster still thinks it's just hanging out on the board here. It has no idea it's dead. We didn't get any endorphins in here. And now what we're going to do is instead of boiling it, we're going to go ahead and saute it. All right? So once you get that done, what you can do is take your knife and I'm going to cut the lobster in half just like this. Now, when I cut the lobster in half, what I'm going to be doing with this particular guy is I'm going to go ahead and turn this guy into Puerto Nuevo style lobster. Now, he doesn't look that good, so I'm going to go ahead and rinse him out. And all I'm going to do is take this water, pour it right over the top, just to get some of the gook out of there. And you can see that it cleans it up nicely compared to that one. I'm going to take some water, pour it over this guy right here. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and remove this. And then I'm going to do the same thing with this over here. I'm just going to remove some of this stuff right up in here. Now this lobster is ready to be cooked off. What we're going to be doing with this lobster is we're going to be sauteing this guy over high heat for Puerto Nuevo style lobster. We're going to serve it with black beans and tortillas and a little cheese. It's going to be fantastic. What I'm doing here is I'm sanitizing my hands. Now I'm going to take this one right here and I'm going to cut it in half just like this. And what I'm going to do with this one is I'm going to take all the meat out of the center. I'm not going to keep it in. And then I'm going to go ahead, and this is what I'm going to use to saute off the lobster for the lobster tacos. Sometimes the meat's a little tough to get out. What you can do to prevent this is you can actually pop it in the water and boil it for about 30 seconds first, and that'll help to release this meat. All right, so we got all the meat pulled out. There's our meat. Now we're going to go ahead and make some salsa that we're going to serve with lobster tacos. Very simple, pico de gallo. It's going to taste fantastic. Okay, after picking all that lobster, I'm going to go ahead and sanitize off my board. All right, now it's time to make some salsa. What I got here for the salsa is I got some beautiful vine-ripened organic tomatoes. And I'm going to take these tomatoes and I'm just going to dice them up like so. And I'm going to do, maybe we should have done this episode on birds. And I'm going to do this salsa by dicing up the tomatoes just like this. And you can see that you don't need to be real perfect with it. I'm just burning through this just like that. You don't want to spend too much time making dinner. Take my bowl here, throw my tomatoes in my bowl. Now I'm going to go ahead and crush a little garlic here. Take it like this. Smash it with your hands just like that. And it should just come right off. When I mince my garlic, I'm going to take it and mince it up right like this. Nice rough chop. Throw my garlic right in there. I have a little cilantro here. If you're working with cilantro or fresh herbs, it's best to keep them in the cooler till right before you need to use them because they're going to die really quickly. I'm going to do a nice quick chop on this just like so. Throw that right in there. Now I'm going to go and dice up this onion. Now this onion that we're using is a red onion, and it's a very flat red onion. And I picked this out specifically because the flatter the onion, the sweeter it's going to be. So what we're going to do is we're going to have a nice sweet red onion mixed in with the salsa right here. Okay. Cut the bottom off like that. Cut the top off like that. That goes right in the trash. I'm going to cut this in half. Then I'm going to take this like this, and I'm going to take my onion and slice it horizontally like this. Take it, slice it straight down like this, about a 1/4 inch apart. You don't want to go too far apart. Then I'm just going to cut straight down. And what that's going to do is it's going to go ahead and make it dice up into nice little dice cuts just like that. Put that off the side. And what we're going to do is we're going to put some of this in our salsa right here. And then we're going to take the rest of the red onion, and I'm going to use it for the Puerto Nuevo black beans that we're going to be doing in a little bit. So let me get this, and I'll put this right off the side right here. Now a lot of times you see a yellow onion in salsa. I like using red onion because it is a little more sweeter than the yellow. So it gives a little more depth with a flavor profile, especially if you're adding a chili or something hot to it. So I got that right there. Now right here, this is a jalapeno chili right here. You see those brown lines in the jalapeno? Those are good. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and cut the stem off. Then I'm going to cut it like that. After that, I'm going to 1/4 it. I'm going to take my knife and run down the jalapeno just like that. Now the seeds in the veins of the jalapeno or of the chili are where the heat is found. So if you just want to get the flavor of a chili without all the heat, you can go ahead and remove the veins and the seeds just like that, and what you're left with is just the flavor of the chili with not as much heat. So that's what we're going to do here. I'm going to go ahead and dice this up. And I'm going to be putting a little of this jalapeno in the salsa, and I'm going to save a little bit of it for the black beans. It's good to get it pretty small too, because this jalapeno, if you get too big of a piece, it's going to light you up. It's going to be a little too hot. Got a nice lime over here. I'm going to add a little lime to it. And this is how simple it is to make pico de gallo. A little lime juice right there. Add a little salt. Hit it with a little white pepper. Now I'm just going to go ahead and mix this up. This is our pico de gallo right here. So this is a sauce, one of the sauces we're going to be serving with the lobster. Now the next sauce we're going to be serving with the lobster is a very simple cilantro sour cream. It goes great with a lobster. Here's what we're going to do. I got some sour cream right here. I'm going to take a little more cilantro. And I'm going to go ahead and mix this up as well. Do a quick dice on this. And I'm going to go ahead and add it right into the bowl. Now I'm going to go ahead and add a little salt, a little white pepper. You can add black pepper too. White pepper will stimulate the center of your palate, where black will stimulate the tip of your tongue. So it's whatever you prefer. I prefer white right in the center to help create that balance on the palate that you've heard me talking about before. All right, now I have a little coriander here that I'm going to put in there, and just a little cumin. You want anything that tastes Mexican? Put a little coriander and cumin there, you're good to go. Take a spoon, mix this up. The last thing I'm going to do is just add a little bit of lime juice to it. And this sauce is going to be ready to go. Now if you want your sauce a little thinner, so it's more like a sauce and less like sour cream, what you can do is add a little water to it also. And this is pretty thick right here, so I think I may put a little water in it also. The acidity in here is going to give it a nice tanginess, which is going to stimulate the sides of your palate. The salt's going to stimulate more along the tip of your palate, the front of your palate. The pepper will stimulate the sides of your palate. The cilantro is going to stimulate the back of your palate. So each one of these components helps to create a little balance on the palate that we're looking for. So there's my cilantro sour cream right there. Now it's time to make our Puerto Nuevo style black beans. It's a real simple dish, easy to make, and we're going to do it 2 different ways. Right here I got some black beans. Now these black beans, you can either get these canned or you can go ahead and buy them and soak them, whatever you prefer. We got our black beans right here. I got some red onion right here. Put that in there. Throw some red onion in there. I'm going to take a little more cilantro here. And I'm going to go ahead and dice up some more cilantro and just throw this in here right like this. A little salt, a little coriander, a little cumin. I'm going to take a little bit of oil, add a little bit of canola oil in there. I'm not using olive oil. The reason why I'm not using olive oil is because olive oil typically is not used in Mexican cuisine. Normally you'll find like canola oil, corn oil, lard, something like that. Canola oil is a little healthier than lard, so we're going to be using that instead. All right, now there's our Puerto Nuevo style black beans right there. So what we got here is we got our black beans, our salsa, and our sour cream, and we're ready to go. For inside the taco, I have a little Savoy cabbage. What I'm going to do is take this, slice this up, nice and thin like this. Put that right there. Now it sounds a little weird seeing cabbage in tacos, but believe it or not, fish tacos, or in this case lobster tacos, are like a San Diego favorite. Everybody in San Diego eats fish tacos. They come from Baja California and they've made their way up to San Diego, and they serve cabbage in their tacos. So we got our Savoy cabbage right here. I'm going to go ahead and put that off to the side. And finally we have a little cheese.